Welcome to Raj Sabha TV. You're watching a special show on Parliamentary Standing Committee. I'm Amritanshu Rai. In this show, we bring to you in-depth coverage of recommendations made by the Standing Committee on the functioning of ministries and their departments. Today, we bring to you a report of the Standing Committee on repair, renovation and restoration of water bodies. A water budget to improve water collection and assess water requirements. These are some of the recommendations of the Standing Committee report on repair, renovation and restoration of water bodies.
Despite an ambitious repair scheme, the quality of water bodies in India has been deteriorating steadily over time. The reasons are many. They range from the indiscriminate disposal of sewage, agriculture waste, industrial waste, as well as rapidly increasing mining activities. These are some of the issues that were taken up by the Standing Committee, which presented its report to the Lok Sabha on 27 November 2012.
ऐसी बात नहीं, फेडरल सिस्टम है हमारा, स्टेट के भी कुछ डिपार्टमेंट है, सेंटर के भी है, लेकिन ओवरऑल तो जो फंड है सेंटर के पास है, ओवरऑल तो सेंटर की ड्यूटी है, उसकी निगरानी करनी, उसकी अगर स्टेट का ड्यूटी है तो सपोर्ट तो इन्होंने करनी है.
You say tribals who don't have patras and all that in the tribal areas, you see, they are being called encroachers. They have been living for centuries there. They are encroachers because they don't have a pata. Like that, people who have been using that land for thousands of years, these rural communities, for them to say that land has been encroached by them and therefore you want to evict them is, I think, injustice. That very concept is injustice.
Focusing on the solutions, the Standing Committee report on the repair, renovation and restoration of water bodies has suggested that approved detailed project reports should be implemented quickly. It has also recommended that priority should be given to recharging of groundwater. The committee has asked the state governments to involve local communities, panchayats and water users associations in the projects. Besides this, it has suggested raising the central government assistance to 50% in case of all states government.
कि मीटिंग ज़्यादा करें, हर तीसरे महीने मीटिंग करें, हर स्टेट की रिपोर्ट वक्त मंगाएं कि आपके जो ये सोर्स थे कैसे हैं, आपके कैनाल कैसे हैं, आपके पौंड कैसे हैं, नए कितने तालाब की लोड है आपको, और क्या हम साधन बरतें ताकि आप पानी को कैसे कंट्रोल कर सकें. इसलिए इनको ये सारा डाटा कलेक्ट करना चाहिए.
Is often there is a thrust on major projects and small and innovative projects done by the people at large get into the background, and therefore at that level they don't give that much of importance which is necessary for implementation of the RR programs.
According to the Standing Committee, the biggest concern is the encroachment of water bodies by the local people, which is why it has asked for measures to raise awareness on the matter. It wants the ministry to conduct a study, enact deterrents and enhance penalties, while also suggesting that these water bodies should be repaired and turned into aesthetic spots.
उसका कारण क्या है? कुछ तो सिल्ट पड़ रही है आस्ता आस्ता, किसी ने उसकी परवाह नहीं की. दूसरा, वादी बढ़ने के कारण वो वादी के नज़दीक थे, गांव वालों ने वहाँ वादी कर ली है. जैसे अब ये जो उत्तराखंड की जो ये है इतना बड़ा जो त्रासदी हुई है, उसका क्या कारण है कि उसका बिल्कुल जो रिवर बेड था वहाँ तक होटल चले गए, वहाँ तक दुकानें चली गई, वहाँ तक घर चले गए. अगर वो ऊपरले एरिए में होते तो शायद इतनी तबाही ना होती. इसलिए ऐसे ही ये एक मिसाल है बड़ी, लेकिन ऐसे ही छोटी गाँव में भी, जहाँ भी सिटी में भी, जहाँ भी जो तालाब था, जो सोर्स था, वो सब लोग उसको आस्ता आस्ता कम करते जा रहे हैं.
For water resource conservation, for irrigation or whatever it is, should not be done without the consent of the local people. And therefore local people means what? The communities and also Panchayat Raj representative, number one.
The Repair, Renovation and Restoration of Water Body scheme was introduced in 2005 to improve selected tank systems in order to increase the availability of drinking water, at the same time recharging groundwater. State governments designated as special category were to get 90% central assistance for the scheme. Non-special category states were sanctioned 25% central assistance. Water bodies that were allowed external assistance got 100% loan from the World Bank. For all such loans, the states are expected to pay 75% and the rest was to be paid by the central government.
जो मेन हमारे सोर्स थे, चाहे कैनाल थे उसको रिहेबिलिटेट करिए, जो पॉन्ड थे ओल्ड उसको रिहेबिलिटेट करिए और उसको आगे चैनल जो हैं उस चैनल को पक्का करिए, जहाँ ड्रिप सिस्टम लाइए जिससे कम पानी से ज़्यादा ज़रूरत जो है लोगों की पूरी हो सके, ताकि आने वाले समय में पानी की देश में कमी न रहे.
You see, I said they always tend to give importance to other programs even though it is very relevant and implementable. But the people don't give. It is a mindset. And therefore, unless you involve the people and take their session, more particularly Panchayat Raj bodies, if they are not involved in RR programs, you see, I don't think that we will make much headway also even now.
The Standing Committee felt that the Repair, Renovation and Restoration RRR scheme should be included under another scheme, which is to augment the irrigation projects, the Accelerated Irrigation Benefit Program. This would ensure that the funds constraint didn't derail the scheme. The committee suggests that the feasibility of providing technical support to the states should be examined.
The committee pointed out that the government doesn't have any data relating to water bodies. To tell us more on the issue, I am joined by my colleague Aruna Thakur. Aruna, what is the issue that the Standing Committee wants the government to address relating to data of water bodies?
Yes, Amritanshu. First of all, I want to tell you that committee was shocked that till now no comprehensive study has been taken by the government regarding water bodies in India. And moreover, no expenditure record has been kept by the government. And due to this non-availability of data regarding the water bodies in India, no comprehensive steps have been taken by the centre as well as the state. So, the committee have suggested the government that first of all they should collect and compile data regarding these water bodies and they should share this information in the ministry's website so that all the policy makers, bureaucrats and other stakeholders who are working in this area should be benefited from this information. Amritanshu.
We spoke to Mrs. Vandana Chavan, member Standing Committee, and began by asking her about the committee's concern on water bodies.
What, according to you, are the main recommendations of the Standing Committee regarding repair, renovation and restoration of water bodies?
It's a very landmark document that the Water Resources Standing Committee has come out with. Our chairman Deep Gogoi tabled this, or rather presented it to the Lok Sabha on 27th November 2012. And the very first recommendation that has been made is, as we all know, that water is at the moment a state subject. If we have to address these issues and these problems of the quality of water encroachments, we need a proper legislative framework. And for this legislative framework, obviously this subject has to come in the ambit of the union government also. And therefore the first very important recommendation is that water as a subject should be included in the concurrent list. Secondly, a complete data and information needs to be collected of the rivers and water bodies all across India. So the second recommendation is to collect data and information.
What were the loopholes on the RRR scheme?
There are in all 5.50 lakh water bodies in our country, and there are some privately owned, the others are publicly owned. The publicly owned water bodies are 2.39 lakhs and privately owned are 3.17. Now, all these privately owned, that is the 3.17 water bodies, were kept out of the RRR ambit, and the report recommends that the private also should be included, because after all water flows from a private into public domain, so this also needs to be covered.
What the committee have recommended on the ongoing projects?
Funds have been disbursed partly by the union government, partly by the state government. Some projects have been completed, some are still ongoing. There is no mechanism where the union government or the Water Resources Ministry can actually monitor what is happening, whether it has really met what it was supposed to have met. So basically, that kind of update from the state governments, that kind of update as a comprehensive report from the state governments and from the organizations which are actually instrumental in doing these RRR projects, needs to come to the central government. Otherwise, we will not know that the money spent, whether it has been used judiciously or not.
It's time for us to enter into a break. When we return, we'll tell you about the committee's concern on water bodies. Welcome back. In order to avoid duplication of work, the Standing Committee recommends that the restoration of water bodies should be dovetailed with MGNREGA scheme. The committee also recommends codifying or providing unique codes to each and every water bodies in the country.
Water reservoirs are incomparable boon for farmers. According to the third manner irrigation census of 2000-2001, there are 5.56 lakh storage tanks. Surprisingly though, the center doesn't have any data on how many water bodies exist, nor does it have the criteria to categorize the water bodies or a plan for incurring expenditure on them. The Ministry of Water Resources told the committee that no steps had been taken to improve their maintenance works.
जो हमारी समिति थी उसने रिपोर्ट दी कि आने वाले समय का जो चैलेंज है देश के सामने और सरकार की जो ड्यूटी है, एक तो इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा जो फंड है इसको मेन लिया जाए, ऐसे ना कि जो एक आम महकमा है, इस पे देश चलना है, इससे अगली दुनिया चलनी है, इसलिए इसका फंड ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा इसको दिया जाए। दूसरा, इसके कानून ऐसे सख्त बनाए जाएं ताकि जो हमारे थे पाउंड थे जहाँ और जो भी उनको कोई रोक ना सके, ताकि वो हमारा सोर्स उतने का उतना रहे।
You see, even in the first 5-year plan, we have been thinking of not the indigenous technology we have totally ignored. We have been looking for inspiration from abroad, major projects which have been done, and therefore that continued to be there. From the first 5-year onwards, whenever gigantism has eaten us up, and therefore that continues to be there.
The Standing Committee is disappointed with the Centre for not undertaking a study to categorize water bodies. The argument given was that it's the responsibility of state government. It has sought updated information about the status of the water bodies, and after the data is available, the government should display it on the ministry websites. It has asked the government to create schemes in tune with the schemes of Ministry of Agriculture and Environment. The committee has also called for integrated efforts by the state and the centre to renovate and restore water bodies.
कि इसमें फंड और जल्दी दें, इसको इमीडिएट करें, इसके सिस्टम्स में कोऑर्डिनेशन लाएं और जो ज़रूरत है कैसे आने वाले समय में बस से ज़्यादा पानी की बचत कर सके, उसके साधन जो है आप अभी लागू करें।
They must first investigate how much water is being utilized with indigenous technology in that particular area, and how much, you see, can be only brought so that their initiatives are not spoiled.
The Water Quality Assessment Authority is responsible for directing agencies on standardized monitoring of water quality and generating data on water use. The Standing Committee suggests that the government track its efforts and submit biennial reports on water quality. It also suggests that the reports be submitted to the state governments with flagging of cases where the deterioration have reached alarming levels.
30-40 साल हमने फ्लड सिस्टम किया, तभी से अगर ड्रिप सिस्टम आता, तभी से स्प्रिंकल सिस्टम आता, तभी से चैनल जो ब्रिक लाइनिंग होती, पाइप पड़ती हैं, तो अब से कितना फ़ायदा होता, जो पाउंड वगैरह है तभी से सुधरने हो जाते, कितना फ़ायदा होता। So हमारी ये तो स्पार्श है।
And therefore many times the major projects are a deterrent for the small initiatives which can take care of them, and it will be permanent also.
Let's take a look at some of the other observations of the committee. It suggests that the states take up planning and implementation of projects under the Repair, Renovation and Restoration RRR scheme. It also recommends the project to be prepared with a sub-basin approach for individual or group water bodies. It has sought in the project report details of the status of the water bodies and reasons for deterioration and rainfall data. All states must be asked to undertake a census of the water bodies and make a complete list with a unique code. Apart from addressing these crucial issues, the committee has underlined the necessity of the ministry completing the census of the water bodies.
The committee said that if we need a comprehensive legislation regarding water bodies in India, we need to include water in our concurrent list. With camera person Pradyumna Malik, Aruna Thakur, Rajya Sabha TV.
The Standing Committee report suggests that there should be participation and awareness among citizens as far as restoration of water bodies is concerned. To tell us more on the issue, I am joined by my colleague Aruna Thakur. Aruna, what is the kind of awareness generation that the committee is talking about?
Yes, Amritanshu. As water is our prime natural resource and basic need of our human being, the committee noted that no effective steps have been taken by the government till now. Moreover, the committee noted that under this RR scheme, the capacity, it also includes capacity building. So the committee says in its report that it is a collective effort of centre, state and union territories to mobilize their efforts by sponsoring these organizations, colleges, NGOs who are working in this area. And lastly, the committee says that centre should come up with a comprehensive guidelines and it should be circulated among states and union territories so that effective and urgent steps should be taken by them. Amritanshu.
We spoke to Mr. Arjun Roy, member Standing Committee, and began by asking him the concerns of the committee relating to illegal encroachment of water bodies.
मेरा कहना जितने वाटर बॉडीज हैं, चाहे डैम हो, चेक डैम हो, झील हो, कुएं हो, सभी तो एस्टेट का विषय है। और एस्टेट इसको जनरली क्या करता है कि एस्टेट की सरकारें अपने सुविधा मुताबिक या उनकी सरकार के चलने के तरीके हैं उस मुताबिक के चलता है। तो इसमें हम लोगों का मानना ये है कि इसमें कोई कंक्रीट सॉल्यूशन निकले जिससे कि जो ग्राउंड वाटर रिचार्ज करता है या पोल्यूशन को दूर करता है, या बहुत सारे कारण हो जाते हैं इंक्रोचमेंट के कारण। आप जाके देखे भी केदारनाथ में घटनाएं घटी, तो हम वहाँ गए थे, कमेटी की टूर भी गई थी, बद्रीनाथ तक गए, केदारनाथ के रास्ते से जितने भी टनेल है सभी जगहों पर हम लोगों ने जाकर देखा। एकदम नदी है और नदी के किनारे जाके घर बना रखा है, उसके किनारे पशु रख रहे हैं, पूरे जंगल काट रहे हैं। तो असंतुलन होना है, जब असंतुलन हो जाता है तो निश्चित रूप से परिस्थितियाँ इस तरह से आती है और इस तरह के डिजास्टर हो जाते हैं। तो निश्चित रूप से सरकार को इस पर पहल करना चाहिए और इस विषय को गंभीरता से लेना चाहिए, देश और दुनिया के हित में, पर्यावरण के हित में और वाटर मैनेजमेंट के ख्याल से, अन्यथा इस देश को और इस दुनिया को इसका खामियाजा भुगतना पड़ेगा।
जो RR स्कीम है उसमें क्या समिति ने कमियां बताई हैं?
देखिए, RR स्कीम के तहत जल निकाय जो है इसका नवीनीकरण, पुनरुद्धार, मरम्मती ये काम किया जाता है और इसके तहत भारत सरकार ने 2005 में इस स्कीम को लॉन्च किया और जिससे 15 राज्यों में इसको लागू किया और 1098 जल निकायों पर काम किया। लगभग 1085 काम पूरा भी हो गया। इसमें दो तरह के स्कीम है, एक आंतरिक संसाधन से जो राज्य और देश का जो अनुपात है, एक बाह्य संसाधन से। आंतरिक संसाधन ये हुआ कि जो स्पेशल स्टेटस के जो राज्य है उनको 90% भारत सरकार देती है, 10% खुद देना पड़ता है। आज जो जनरल कैटेगरी के राज्य हैं उनको 75% राशि वहन करता पड़ता है और भारत सरकार 25% देती है। इसके तहत भी इसमें काम शुरू हुए, लेकिन जो काम जिस संतोषजनक ढंग से होना चाहिए उस ढंग से इसका लाभ नहीं मिल सका। दूसरा है कि 2008 में वर्ल्ड बैंक के सहयोग से 23,000 वाटर बॉडीज़ को इसमें लिया गया और जिसमें 6,000 करोड़ रुपया खर्च किया जाना था और 6,000 करोड़ रुपया वर्ल्ड बैंक के सहयोग से। इसमें 25% जो ऋण है वो भारत सरकार को देना है, 75% स्टेट को देना है। इस पर काम हो रहे हैं, लेकिन जो काम जिस तरह से इसका रिजल्ट मिलना चाहिए, जो इसका उद्देश्य कंसेप्ट है, मरम्मत किया जाना, वाटर बॉडीज का पर्यटन के क्षेत्र में लाना, जल परिवहन को सुदृढ़ करना या बागवानी मिशन के तहत या वाटर बॉडीज को ठीक करना, उस तरह से सफलता नहीं मिल पा रही। क्योंकि ये जो जल है, पानी है, वाटर है, वो स्टेट सब्जेक्ट है। भारत सरकार ज़्यादा कुछ कर नहीं सकती इसमें। इसलिए हमारा ये मानना है, अब स्टैंडिंग कमेटी का जो रिपोर्ट है उस रिपोर्ट पर मुझे नहीं कहना है, लेकिन मैं आपको बता दूं इसमें मेंबर हूं, जो मेरी जानकारी में है कि जल जो सबसे महत्वपूर्ण इशू है इस देश और दुनिया का, और भारत सरकार का जो बजट होता है, भारत सरकार का बजट होता है 1000 करोड़, अभी 12-13 में 1500 करोड़ था। अब बताइए 1500 करोड़ में 1800 करोड़ 700 करोड़ रुपए खर्च होते हैं। तो इस तरह से ये निराशा बड़ी स्थिति है इस विभाग की, और भारत सरकार इस पर केयर नहीं करती है। तो जल संसाधन का जो हमारा स्टैंडिंग कमेटी है, हमने बहुत सारे इश्यूज पर इस पर सवाल खड़े किए हैं।
वाटर स्टेट सब्जेक्ट है, समिति ने माना कि जब कोऑर्डिनेशन की बात आती है वो कोऑर्डिनेशन स्टेट सब्जेक्ट की वजह से रह जाता है। तो इसमें क्या कहना चाहेंगे आप?
देखिए, समिति में कई बार चर्चा हुई कि कंकरेंट लिस्ट में इसको लाइए, ताकि बहुत सारे राज्यों में विवाद है बहुत नदियों को लेकर के। एक नदी कई राज्यों से बहती है, एक नदी एक देश से दूसरे देश में जाती है। कुछ ऐसी भी महत्वपूर्ण इशूज हैं जिस पर बरसों लग गए देश को निदान करने में। चूँकि स्टेट सब्जेक्ट होने की वजह से भारी कठिनाई होती है। भारत सरकार केवल राय मशविरा दे सकता है। सेंट्रल वाटर कमीशन हो, ब्रह्मपुत्र बोर्ड हो या गंगा फ्लड कंट्रोल कमीशन हो, ये सब एक मान लीजिए दोनों जो बोर्ड और GFCC है, ये सब एक औपचारिक संस्थाएं बन करके रह गई है। इसलिए भारत सरकार को इस पर से रीऑर्गेनाइज करने की ज़रूरत है। और चूँकि वाटर मैनेजमेंट प्रॉपर नहीं होगा तो सिंचाई के क्षेत्र में हो, किसान के क्षेत्र में हो, या पेयजल की बात हो, ग्राउंड वाटर नीचे की ओर जा रहा है, इसको रिचार्ज करने का, ये सारे सवाल एक साथ खड़े होते हैं।
We are now approaching the end of the show, but before we conclude, let me leave you with the concluding reactions of Mrs. Vandana Chavan, member, Standing Committee.
How do you conclude the report?
I think it's a landmark report. As we all know, water is absolutely the basic amenity for every living being on this earth. And seeing the plight of water and water bodies in our country, I think it's the right step in the right direction, which has been taken by the study, which has been and the deliberations which took place to create this report. And I'm sure this will take our concern to a greater level and address this in a proper way.
Thank you for watching Standing Committee. We'll be back with a new episode and a new issue. Keep watching Rajya Sabha TV.